Here on Challenge Day, we like to discuss challenges that we may have come across or experienced, and that we either are addressing or we conquered. So, obviously, the premise of our show was so that it's to share that with you guys, so that it's something that's probably relatable or something that would help you in the future if you come across it. So, my challenge is humility. Um, and the reason why this is a challenge for me that I believe that I'm pretty good at either at exhibiting a lot of times, and of course everyone still has work to do in that area. I think because pride and ego can be a lot, in different ways. But for me, it's been a thing that I think about more often, and that I try to put into practice more often. Especially even with my Christian faith, humility is something that is preached and teached about a lot. But there is an expectation that you are at least practicing that, right? Because it's something that God looks favorably upon someone that's humble, right? For example, a character in the Bible that's described as the meekest of them all is Moses, right? But if you know anything about the story of Moses, you saw how you know how he met his end, which was actually pretty interesting for the guy who was the meekest guy um, known as far as scripture goes. But that's I'm saying all that just to kind of go to this point. For me particularly, it's always would I say always? I would say for a long time. I think it's been challenging for me to ask for help when I need it. Right. Talked to Darwin about this off the camera, on the camera before, so he's aware of that. But like, it's because of how I'm wired, how I've been wired for a long time. There's a lot of things I just had to figure out on my own. It is what it is, right? And I've gotten so used to figuring things out, right, on my own, um, that I was used to not relying on people, right? It's a level of independence that, at some point in time, if you're a person that can figure things out and was able to get through life, albeit even if it was struggle, but you got through it, you find yourself in a better place. That can become like a, that can become like kind of like an altar to you in a way. It can become like a thing that your ego and your pride can be quite elevated, inflated a bit. If you're able to like attain whatever success you may have in whatever area of life you may be. And I think for me, I struggled a lot in my life. I wouldn't say only because of maybe like just out of like pride and ego. It's just not having resources, not having like have immigrant parents. There's a lot of struggle and strife that Darren and I we went through because of just it's just a whole just having parents coming from the country. It's a lot of things that they had to kind of figure out on their own, and then things that even Darren had to figure out on his own. And then there are some things that he would share with me, of course, but it's stuff even just me as a man growing up that I had to figure out on my own that he couldn't always be there for. I mean, it's just that's just life. It is what it is, right? Um, but it was for a lot of my life, it was always pretty challenging. There are a lot of times that I failed, and a lot of times that I
Hashtag
struggled.
challenge day. I remember
Yeah, challenging.
like
Yeah,
and
you feel me?
subscribe. Smash
Yeah.
that like button.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, definitely check us out, man. But yeah. So with all that being said, it's I've learned through this. And the reason, so this is the reason, right? This is the reason why I'm even talking about this. As you guys know, I suffered an injury playing soccer, right? And there's a period of time where you have the injury. Obviously, you need help. Like I have my own house. I mean, it's really three floors. You enter into the ground level, and then you have like two flights of, it's two other levels, right? So as you can imagine, my specific particular injury, I actually ruptured my Achilles, right? So now imagine like, okay, having to deal with stairs, moving around, taking a shower, all that stuff. All that stuff becomes extremely challenging to do on your own, right? Especially when you can't put any weight on the leg that you ruptured your Achilles from or on, right? So um, I found that having a good support group, having good friends, people in your corner helps a lot. And it's indicative on like your reputation with them, right? Because people are more willing to help you when they have good experiences with you, right? When the way that they see you, the reputation that you have with them, they see you as like a solid person. They're more willing. A person is more willing to help a person who's a solid person, right? Like if you a person who's been dependable or reliable, or if you've just been like just a good dude, like you want to help people who are, what I'm saying, who put out good, what I'm saying, and which I think is actually part of like Darren's character and his nature, right? Like he likes to put out a lot of good. That's just who he is as a person. He may not always receive it back, but I understand that's how that's kind of how he's wired, right? It is what it is, right?
I'm
So,
still waiting to cash in on some of these.
so yeah, big facts, big facts. Um, But for me, I'm like the opposite of Darn. It's not that I don't put out good. I'm just a very introverted person. That's just who I am. I'm extremely introverted. I'm very private. Even just doing this podcast thing is always a lot for me. Like even now, like I'm more comfortable with it, but it's still kind of like a lot for me sometimes mentally, right? Because I know who I am, right? Um, but you do things to kind of like break out of that shell to kind of expand who you are to be a better version, upgraded version of yourself. But I realized that just through all the things that I used to take that I don't think I necessarily took for granted, but the things that just came easy, like walking up and down the stairs, moving stuff around, doing stuff around the house, running up and down, playing sports, all this different stuff, like never having to
Hmm.
suffer these kind of injuries. You kind of like these things become normal. It's not like you take them for granted, but it's like, it's like this is a normal thing for me. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't really think about it, right?
Bro,
So,
I went through that when I
uh,
had my foot surgery, bro.
yeah,
It's a rude awakening.
it's a rude awakening,
Uh,
bro. It really is. You realize that some of the things that the very simple things that you do day to day become extremely challenging.
Showering.
Showering, you know what I'm saying? Like a shower that you could probably take in 5 minutes, now it's take you 20 minutes just to
Yeah.
kind of get yourself fit. Like that whole time of you even trying to get in there, like it's putting clothes on, like just stuff like that. So
Hmm.
um, I had to like I had to swallow my pride and my ego, and I was like, yo, I cannot do this myself. So I had to, it's just friends I had to call on. It's people I had to call on that was like, yo, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Can you, and shout out to my girls. Like she's a real MVP. She helped me she helps me a lot. I mean, to the point where like I be trying to like to stop her from like doing too much, but she's like kind of like she's like an empath, so she's like caring for people is something that she's really passionate about. So like I kind of have to allow her to do her thing. Um, and I praise her a lot about it. So she's shy. I can feed her in that way, right, mentally and emotionally and all that stuff. But she's solid. So shout out to her. Um, but I'm like it her and like my friends, um, they really looked out. You know what I'm saying? Some of them even took off of work some days. Some of them like they have a more flexible job came through just to kind of like check up on me or like help me with different things or whatever, take me to different appointments or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because I currently right now still can't drive yet, but that'll change in about 8 weeks from now. So, but like there's things that I can't really do myself for real. You know what I'm saying? But having friends and actually sucking it up and putting it out like to your friends and
So
people.
did you ask them for help, or did
Yes.
they all just like roger up because they know you needed something, or did you actually ask
Okay.
people?
So if I can give a percentage to that question, as far as like which way, I would say, and I'm saying all this to say that I'm still working on this, guys. But I would say about 30% of it,
Oh boy.
30% of it is me asking, and 70% of it is
Is
them
them
like,
showing up because they're good people
yeah, because
and they already got a repertoire with you.
and they're yeah, so they just solid people. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, Jeff,
The
I know you
challenge
need.
is supposed to be how Jeff's getting better. That's no.
Yeah, no, but the percentage was probably five before. Now it's 30. You know
No, damn. Okay.
what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Now I'm giving wild numbers, right? But the point I'm trying to say is like the majority of the time is them reaching out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the minority of the time is me like really asking like for their help, right? So, because it just be taking me a lot to do that sometimes. I ain't gonna lie, but like that's what the challenge is,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Get
yo,
that get that 30 up to 50,
get that, you
maybe.
know what I'm saying? Like,
At
like
least
check
up
your
to 50.
ego. Like
Yeah.
if you're like me, check your ego, check your pride, because bro, we can't do life alone, man. Like it's just, and it's not like I was desiring to do life alone. That's not something that I desire. Um, but at the same time, man, like you
There's
ain't as
more
nice as
capacity to let more people in
yeah,
more
you feel me?
often.
Like, yeah, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Sometimes you just gotta like, bro, like let go. And you know what I thought about? You know what I thought about, bro? Like it could be a control thing too. I think it's largely a control thing too. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, bro,
Well,
you
a
got
bum leg is gonna really put you out of your
oh,
control
absolutely.
zone.
It will humble you. It will humble
Yeah,
you.
it's gonna
Like for
humble you.
especially if you're a person like who like be in the gym a lot or whatever, like this joint will humble you for
Yeah.
real. So like that's really my challenge, man. Is like for anybody who may have any issues with that, like yo, let go of that pride and that ego, man. Really lock in, but also work on your relationships with people so that if there comes a time where you need help, you know what I'm saying, it's not gonna be hard to ask for it, or that you can at least expect it for some folks. You know what I'm saying? So like check your ego, man. Work on your relationships. Make sure you have a good support network around you, which I'm thankful that I have because it definitely has made things a lot easier. And you'll be all right, man. Because at the end of the day, like life is about you really it's fellowship. At the end of the day, going through life is a large portion of life. I would say that one of the important pillars of living at least a healthy life or a long life is having fellowship with other people. Like having people in your network that that you really rock with, that really rock with you. So it definitely makes life going. It definitely makes going through life easier and more manageable. So that is my challenge. Check your ego. But yeah, that's what I got, bro. What you got?
Mine is I'm gonna get there in a roundabout kind of way,
Mm-hmm.
but it is again about relationships. And you're kind of talking
Mm-hmm.
about relationships there, and I've been going on for a while now for several challenge sections where I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about building up your network and building yourself up to where you can support your network and that your network can support you. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the same vein that you just talked about there. It was
Mm-hmm.
because you built that relationship with these people that when you did end up becoming a person in need,
Mm-hmm.
that they were able to pour into you.
Yeah.
So shout out to them. I came across a post on Instagram that said people who voted for Trump did so primarily for reasons they felt were beneficial to themselves, while those who voted for Harris did so for reasons that may never impact them personally, but would benefit those around them. Um, I found some salience in it. I don't think it's a circle in terms of a Venn diagram, you know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
I can see, okay, I can see how somebody would like that post and put up that you know what I mean, they think they spit in bars. It's all right. It's a medium bar.
Mm-hmm.
But I can but one of the nuggets that I took away from that is how it reminded me of how last week you were sort of explaining your reasons for voting for Trump
Mm-hmm.
with the whole standing on your square and you know your value, like despite all the things you knew about Trump and but like there's these values that you have and that why at the end of the day you ended up making that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Uh so it was personal for you. It
Mm-hmm.
was like you're individually you were less concerned about what Trump effect is on people probably.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what put words on, but that I'm just saying that's kind of how it relates to how it reminded me when you spoke about that.
Okay.
I
I mean,
my
it's. I see how you come to that. I see how you can come to that conclusion
okay.
because there is like a countrywide um effect that I considered as well. But based on, but to your point, based on how I explained it, I see how you came to that conclusion. But I did want to kind of
So
clear
wait,
that
you
up.
want to
That
clarify? You do you think though that there
I mean,
is
because largely I think that like morally, what the country needs from again, and like I actually, and I've said this before about like I think although conservatism is a minority in the Republican Party now, I think what when it comes to true conservatism, I think the essence of it is better for the country. So that's the perspective that I came from as far as
so even
the
even though Trump is
but
the
even though
face
Trump,
of the party and
yeah,
that you have to vote for him,
yeah,
you get
yeah,
your underlying values somewhat in the door.
yeah. So my value system, a lot of my value system aligns with the true conservatism of the Republican Party, right? So not necessarily what, even though I know that Trump is the leader of it, and of course nobody's happy about that. I'm not happy about that. Like the guy is a lunatic, but
Well, he's not a
there was no. So when I say a lunatic, I mean like he's okay. Maybe not lunatic, but that's kind of how I think about him. But
because that means you would have voted for a
he's a
lunatic.
yeah,
Would you
but
say
he is,
that you
but he
voted for
is.
a lunatic?
I would say that he's a wild boy. That's what I say.
You voted for
He's
a wild boy.
Pretty much, he's a wild
Okay.
boy. Like it's a known thing that he's a wild boy. He's not someone that I that he is a reprehensible being, right? um he's not someone that I would see. He's not someone that I would say, hey, this is an example you should follow. Like he's not a person that I would recommend to anyone. um but he's just at the top of the ticket. I have no choice but like to, you know what I'm saying. So I don't really have a choice in that matter. It's not like I
Okay.
personally want him, you know what I'm
So
saying. So
so
it's more of like just the underlying, fundamentally, like what like true conservatism actually is. That's the driver of like my choice and my selection. So
got gotcha. Okay, so thanks for clarifying that.
yeah.
Uh with that same energy though,
Mm,
there are people, and so I guess I'm trying to paint this picture of what the challenge kind of is, that feel like that the people that are around them, people in their life. Matter of fact, I'll say it for myself. People around me, people that I trust and I love, I feel made a choice that betrayed betrayed me and um and the values that I hold dear, right? And that I value: justice, equality, empathy. Um, and I'm thinking that by voting for this guy who um, tried to overturn democracy, uh, we went through all his stuff. He's got these trials,
Mm,
and he mishandling of COVID, um, all that stuff though, and having lived through that election cycle, and even now just unpacking a little bit on like I'm thinking like how you could vote for this guy, right?
mm,
Um, that shit's exhausting. It has
yeah.
been exhausting. It's an exhausting campaign season.
Mm,
The 4 years that he was in office, before that whole 4 years was exhausting. He was always on camera, always saying stuff.
mm,
And if if past actions may portend what's going to happen in the future, he's going to be exhausting again.
mm.
Right now, though, this is the transition period. We just put all that energy into the election. I was out there knocking on doors and all that stuff, and doing all kinds of things to help support the campaign. I think a lot of us need time to get over this shit. We need time to get up off of this joint and let that joint go. And I recommend compartmentalization. It's a challenge.
That's what I do.
It's
I
a
do that
challenge
regularly.
for me too. For us, even right now, to do the show, like to know that we're diametrically opposed on how we pull that lever.
Hmm.
You know, I have to be able to see you apart from who you voted for president.
Hmm.
Bruh, these motherfuckers actually were talking about how much they despise this man and threat to democracy and all that kind of stuff. And Biden's kikiing with them at the White House. Biden is like, you know what? The election happened. You know what I mean? Hopefully you do well, shaking his hand, having coffee with him. So
I, I've
imagine,
I've been saying this for a long time. Where politics is it's not about people. It's
so
never not
imagine,
in America.
imagine that
Hmm.
they are finding a way to bridge whatever gap, no matter how thin that veil may be,
Hmm.
and you out here for being your relationship. You got a whole 4B happening movement happening in your bedroom, in your household. Meanwhile, Biden and all of them and all the
Hmm.
Democrats, they all hanging out and chilling with them. Chuck Schumer was hanging out with Kiki and with them
Yep.
before the election was over.
Absolutely.
They're moving along. If they not beefing with each other, you should like. There's a lot of people not going to Thanksgiving at their parents' house no more this year because of how they voted.
Because of the, yeah, yeah, I've been hearing it. That's kind of crazy, bro.
I mean,
That's
like
kind of wild.
they can't separate they are torching their relationships to the
Hmm.
ground. I get it. You know what I mean? It is nerve wracking that as much as you put out to the people who voted for that side,
Hmm.
you know, the stuff that you feel is logical, the stuff you feel like, hey, we share the same kind of values, we grew up the same, and this guy is that bad. You should not vote for him, and then they vote for him anyways. You feel like it's a letdown. I get that. But bro,
So
these politicians are not burning down their relationships, but
let
yet
me
you are.
let me ask you a question though about that because I'm kind of curious to your thoughts on this. So what do you think the motivations are then
Motivation for what? The
for which?
politicians
Yeah, no, well for people, right? When you say you just mentioned that,
in the public. You mean you talking about the public?
yeah, I'm talking about the public. So
No,
why
because
you
they
think that
really
is?
feel it deeply. I mean, they
Yeah.
really feel it deeply. They identify that joint
Mm-hmm.
like it's not a game. Some of these people legit feel like their liberty may be on the line. If not theirs, their friend is, their
Mm-hmm.
sister is.
Mm-hmm.
They might have a trans nephew or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They might have an immigrant in their family. that they really feel like this is going to go down for them. They might
Yeah.
have, they might really think that climate change is really going to, if they live in Hawaii or somewhere like that, they
Yeah,
really
that
might
I
think
would
that
be.
climate change is going to
Ooh.
be like messed up.
Yeah, if I was in
So some people
Hawaii
that
with
think
that.
like that, some people lost family members during COVID, and then they see RFK Jr. is not the COVID guy.
Yeah, that's crazy. When I
There's
saw
a
that,
lot
I
of
was like,
people,
that's
the people,
crazy.
this stuff is real. And like, you voted for the RFK, the anti-vax guy is going to be honest. Like, so you see that choice that person made as an attack on you. So like, this is, I mean, it's not hard for me to, I mean, I'm not an empath, but it's not hard for me to put myself in these people's shoes to see why they would feel some existential dread.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair.
So their feelings are legit.
Hmm.
But with that said, my challenge is I'm trying to put a call out is for people to be like to try to take a step back, to take a step back and
Compartmentalize
not put the what you say
and compartmentalize.
right and
Okay.
compartmentalize it. Like, yes, I'm not saying people should just give up their efforts to um stand against. I mean, go ahead and do your protest. The
Mm,
America is built on protest,
mm,
right? Go ahead and write your letters. Go ahead and advocate for your causes. Go ahead um and run a primary in your local district. Go ahead and go stand for something. But guess what? You need time to replenish that tank,
mm.
and it may be time to take a step away from the politics, from the activism a little bit. Not you're not giving it up. You're taking a step back and going out to go touch some grass. You're going out, you're gonna go out, and I want people to, and I challenge this for myself too, to withdraw, but don't withdraw from your people. Now, the people that used to get together with to rant and rave about politics, how about y'all get together and play some dominoes? How
Mm,
about y'all get together and go do a spades tournament? Maybe y'all should get together and just go out to dinner
mhm.
and just tell some jokes. Like, withdraw a little bit from that space that has that dread. It's gonna be there. Especially right now. This is the transition period. It ain't over yet in terms of like, oh, my life is, even whatever Trump does come in, he puts people in place. It's gonna take months and years for some of this
Yeah, it's
stuff
gonna
to
take
like
some time to even go
to
into
trickle
effect.
down. So
Mhm.
so like, there's no need to be hair on fire right now. We needed hair on fire before the election, right? It really wake people up. We did that. Wake people up, try to get them to come out. We did the best we could. It didn't work. He's going to be president, and it is good to I'm not saying put your head in the sand. You want to know what's going on. You want to know that Matt Gaetz was nominated to be free, was proposed to be the attorney general. You want to know that kind of stuff. That's kind of
Mm,
important.
mhm.
But you don't need the hair on fire anymore, right now. Just like pace yourself, connect with your friends. I would recommend even like maybe this is time to see some of your friends you haven't seen in a while. There's this thing called scruffy hospitality, and that's where it's people oftentimes they don't want to like hang out with people,
Mhm.
or they don't want people to come to their house if everything isn't perfect. They haven't had the housekeeping come by. The house isn't in complete order, and so they don't want to invite people to come to their house. It's okay. The point is for y'all to get together. You don't need your place to be freaking spick and span.
Mhm.
Get together, have that dinner at your place, invite them over for a wine party or something. Just to have your friends over, people that care about you, that and even people that maybe you might have that they voted for the other guy. That you know what, y'all not even gonna talk about that. Y'all was
Mhm.
friends before him,
Mhm.
and y'all should still be able to be friends after him.
Mhm.
Now, if they're spewing some vitriol your way, or if they're actually deliberately trying to cause harm to somebody in your life, yeah, you might want to distance yourself from that.
Mhm.
But if they're like, yo, I voted for this person and that was it, I'm not even on that. And I'm here for you as an individual, then maybe make some space for that. And
Mhm.
maybe I build on that. And maybe next time, because of the love and affection and the fellowship which I have over the years, maybe they might see things your way come time down. Or maybe you might see the things their way. But either way, y'all get a chance to get closer
Yeah.
as in your relationship. So don't just wait to we there was this writer. Was he a writer? What was he? Was he a philosopher? I don't remember. Putnam or Putman or something like that. He he once talked about how people are busy watching Friends instead of hanging out with friends. Remember Friends, the TV show?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so it's like we want you want to withdraw from this stuff, but then there's a risk of you withdrawing into yourself. There's a risk of you isolating.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a good thing. So I want to harp on that point. Don't isolate yourself. Still keep those friendships that you built throughout the years that you were campaigning, or you was, or even if you have people that are in your life, your family and stuff like that you had before. This is no time to withdraw. This is no time. We're gonna need that support. You're gonna need that support because I think my prediction is things is gonna get bad. Things is gonna get bad later. Uh, and you're gonna need that support system even more so than you do now. Maybe you might be a person that you might have to, you know what? Um, I might have to hide my cousin here at my house. I'm going to have to open them up because they might get deported. I'm not
Oh, okay.
advocating you breaking the law, but some people might have to do that. You know, you might be somebody who is, who drives somebody to the clinic and escort them through that because, they had an emergency situation. They got to go to maybe get an abortion and they need that support system. You might have to do that. I mean, all of that you're going to be have to be two. Freaking, you have to drive 2 states away to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's going to be you. You ain't gonna have that energy if you burn it all out now. So take a step back, take a deep breath, um, compartmentalize what happened in the election and your relationship with individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there may be a few people that you do have to excommunicate, but take a step back first, take a breather, and have a full assessment of what you're willing to sacrifice for the politics of this country that change every 2 years, every 3 years, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Because they not burning their relationship. They don't give a fuck. Democrats and Republicans, all these establishment
That's
politicians, they
true.
don't care. They're all
Mm-hmm.
kicking it up now, having dinner together and everything.
It's all about power
Meanwhile,
with them.
you are home by yourself, not going to Thanksgiving, and not fostering the relationships with people because who they voted for.
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenge. I'm not saying it's easy, but just put it in our folks' radar.